are back to the Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus podcast show. I am Dr. B. I am Dr. B. Welcome back, everyone. This is show number 66. That's right, show number 66. And it's entitled Celebrating 4 Years of Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus book. That's right. It's 4 years. 4 years since the publication of my latest book, Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus, was published 4 years ago, 2018. The summer of 2018. And this show is about celebrating. That's right. During this summer of 2020, celebrating the publication of Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus, understanding, empowerment, and solutions for college students. That's right. This is Dr. B. Welcome back. Oh, it's been a little while. It's been since last month, since our last show 65. But this is show number 66. Wow. A lot has gone on in the past month, but it just again, there was a time period I said something happened special 4 years ago, and it was the publication of my latest book, Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus, Understanding, Empowerment, and Solutions for College Students. First, let me thank all my listeners. I really want to thank all our listeners on all the podcast platforms, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Player FM, iHeartRadio. Also want to thank Audible, Amazon Music. I want to thank Podchaser, and I said Spotify, but I think we have a new podcast platform, Samsung Podcast. That's right, Samsung Podcast platforms. Thank you for picking us up. So again, and we're just trying to get out there in all different types of ways, and we're being picked up in a wide variety of podcast platforms, and we truly appreciate this. And again, and it goes back to when this book was published. And we were just out there on Podbean, and I think it was Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. But now, fortunately, keeping the issues moving forward is so important. Now in 2022, more than ever. That's right, more than ever, to continue talking, discussing, evaluating, doing a deeper dive on these very critical issues of race and ethnic relations on campus from my my students' perspective. But I think it's so important, particularly now. So, again, I want to back up a little bit. This is a celebration. This is, why not? I said, I put a lot of time. Yes, Dr. B put a lot of time and energy in writing this book. Oh my, it was my, 7th or 8th book. And when you, as an author, as a writer, when you decide to do a book project, you're all in 24/7. 7 days a week. It consumes you. And this book was something that consumed me, because I just felt that it was needed. And it was building and building for really decades. But it was just kind of appropriate that I was able to allocate and really allocate the time and energies to put this book forward, to write it up step by step, and make it more practical, more hands-on. And I'm giving you a little backstory. I'm giving you a little backstory and a deeper dive of the why I wrote this book. when it came out 4 years ago, but actually started writing it, it was 6 or 7 years ago. 8 years ago. And yes, I'm taking a different course already. Oh my gosh. Quite frankly, I was frustrated. Yeah, I was frustrated with I'm trying to get get my students to communicate more with each other. Yeah. Some 7, 8 years ago, teaching my regular classes at the university, I noticed that many of my students were just not communicating with each other. They were walking through the class. They were interested in the content of the material, but not communicating deeply with each other in the class, in the auditorium. And I thought to myself, what is going on? What is going on? So step by step, I started finding ways to try to get my students to communicate with each other, to start learning about the person sitting next to an individual, to ask questions, to get to know them. And it kind of focused on my honor classes that I was teaching at the time. And that just blew up. So, again, this book, a little bit of side note, this book was a part of my frustration of recognizing that students were not communicating as much. And this was an opportunity to get students to communicate, but also develop a new class at the university. And of course, I used this book was a part of the foundation of the new class that I put forward at the university. And lo and behold, it became very successful. Yes, pretty successful in a short period of time. After trying it out in the honors classes for 3 or 4 years, and then releasing it to the entire university student population, and they have responded very well. I am pleasantly surprised of the support, the interest, the motivation, the hunger to discuss these issues on a deeper level. That's right, the hunger from my students once the class was developed. And I said, this is the book that will provide the basis, the foundation for this class, but a way to get students to connect with each other. And so I'm celebrating, but I want to give you the overview of this book. Again, Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus. And here's the other thing. The topics, the chapters apply very well, still very well to today, 2022, even more so. So, that's my opinion. You could be you'll assess it. And hopefully, again, let me just say, yes, my book was still published by ABC Clio. That's right, ABC Clio. You can go, this is why not? A straight publicity. ABC Clio, Prager imprint, and they are still producing it on a regular basis, very responsive to the request for new books. So please go to ABC, the ABC / or -Clio.com and you could order the book right online. By the way, the book is available at all major bookstores online and at all major academic bookstores. So again, have to do the plug there. But I'm very well pleased with its production and its distribution. And now, I'll give you a reason why I wrote this book in different phases. The framework of the book starts off with Part 1, overview and current issues. Part 2, background issues. Part 3, practical outcomes of race relations. Part 4, solutions. That's right, solutions to race and ethnic relations. Part 5, debate issues. And Part 6, teaching strategies. Teaching strategies. And in the teaching strategies, I talk about, I actually provide a fieldwork journal of the first time teaching this race relations class to my honors students. So I think that's, I thought, great insight for those instructors, professors who want to find out how I approach this very, very sensitive, politically sensitive, culturally sensitive, societal sensitive topic of race relations. And again, that frustrated me on another part where a lot of my colleagues would not even go down this road because it's too sensitive. It's too, we have to be politically correct all the time. And we may say the wrong thing. So, when I felt that happening, not just at my university, but across the country, I said, this is an area that I have to dive into. And so that was another momentum for me in writing this book. Ridiculous. Where we can't even discuss, evaluate, research, debate, have fun in talking about race and ethnic relations. So again, that was another reason why. So I give you the different portions of the book. Now, I'll start off with Part 1 consists of the impact. Starting with Chapter 1 and the Part 1, the impact of national race and ethnic race relations incidents on college experience. Wow, the impact of national race relations incidents on college experience. What were the issues? The issues when I wrote this book, vastly different, but really still the same. The players and the issues are different. What caused national attention, national concern on the divisiveness, the hate that was illustrated back in 2016, 2017, 2018. Those issues, again, the individuals are different, but now in 2022, those national race relations, confrontations, incidents, tragedies are happening on a larger scale. Yes, I said a larger scale. That's truly the unfortunate aspect of this, where we're having national issues, more of these issues happening, and it does affect students' college experience each and every academic year. So we need, again, my perspective, we need to continue to address these issues because they're happening on a larger scale now, the confrontation between one race versus another, or insensitivity issues of individuals who look different than you. So again, the impact of national race relations, that's chapter 1. And then typical campus race and ethnic relations, that's chapter 2. That's chapter 2, looking at the individual relationships that normally happen on college campus, as well as some, and I also provide some of my personal reflections on race relations issues when I was a college student. That was chapter 2. Chapter 3, when I part of the background issues, part 2, basic concepts of race and ethnic relations. We still need to go over those basic concepts. We assume too much. So we have to go over these basic concepts not only to establish a foundation for these concepts, but also to get comfortable. Get comfortable with discussing these issues ourselves. People are not comfortable talking about these basic issues, basic concepts. And when I go, I provide this for the students. The students they can't wait to go over these concepts with their colleagues in the class. So chapter 2 is about typical campus racism, and it relates to practically every college, large, small, in between, medium. It really relates to so many college campuses across the United States and also globally. So that's the reason why I put in this typical campus race and ethnic relations issue. And then, like I said, basic concepts of race and relations. And then the race and ethnic relations theories, chapter 4. Yes, frame it out in certain theories. Students need a framework. They need a rubric. And not something borrowed from another discipline. It's like a discipline that truly doesn't apply to today's college students. And that's unfortunately what happened before in the past. So I bring in introduce some brand new theory for college students to use when evaluating race relations on campuses today. Yes, I bring in some new theories that's desperately needed. And then I move on to interracial relationships and race relations, a cultural historical review in America. We need this because many of my students are just vastly diverse, racially and ethnically diverse. And they love this topic. They love this topic. And there's no longer, again, they're no longer they're the majority. And students love this. So I spent a lot of time talking about interracial relationships, also the impact of biracial, multiracial Americans in America. And then I move on to national politics and race relations. Oh, yes, I bring in national politics and race relations. Wow. Talk about people get very tight, scared, hesitant. When you bring in politics and race, ooh, that's a double, triple-edged sword. But you have to go there. Because every year, unfortunately, even now in 2022, oh Lord, even now, national politics plays itself out through race relations. Let's not kid ourselves. And then, chapter 7, negative consequences of poor race and ethnic relations among college. You have to spell it out. What are the consequences of poor race relations? What are the negative consequences? Some basic issues that need to be discussed, examined, evaluated, and reassessed. Because many times I recognize, since teaching this new class, Students are just not aware of the negative consequences until I bring it out there, until they hear it from hear it and see it and witness it amongst their own colleagues in the class. So yes, I think chapter 7 is vitally important, where I really break down the negative concepts. I talk about prejudice, discrimination, segregation. Very important. Racism. Then, right, I flip it around. Positive outcomes. That's right, positive outcomes of race and ethnic relations. That's chapter 8. What are the positive? We spend so much time, we're so inundated every single day of the negative. What about the positive outcomes of good race and ethnic relations on your individual campus among college students? It's like a brand new day. When I bring this exercise up in my class, it's a brand new day. Students feel so refreshed when they start to recognize there are significantly more positive outcomes of good race relations. They didn't realize. And again, it's about boosting one's self-confidence. That's right, boosting one's self-confidence. And you start to see the students change their approach. They recognize, the individual student, actually in the class, individual student recognize they can be that change agent. They can be the person to be that positive change agent in the class, on campus, at their university. So I spend a lot more time on the positive outcomes. And you have to walk students through this. And they feel truly they're just pleasantly surprised how it's right there at their fingertips. But again, not to the fault of themselves, but they're so inundated with all the negative consequences that's happening on their individual campus, that's happening in parts of the country, one region of the country to another, once maybe in a urban rural area, Certain parts of the country is just still very conservative, and it's hard to address many of these issues. Then other parts of the country are very free-flowing, and they kind of miss the issue, thinking that everyone is on board, but many times they're not. So you have to slow things down and really highlight the positive outcomes of good race and ethnic relations. You have to slow students down because they're so inundated with the negativism of our society. And unfortunately, race is still that big issue that gets thrown out there, that divides us. And it should bring us really all together. So I spend a lot more time now after teaching it on every semester now. It used to be once a year, but now every semester, fall and spring. And the enrollment gets bigger and bigger in my classes. And I just love it. And then we move on to part 4, chapter 9, how college students can solve race and ethnic relations issues. That's right, empowering individual students to solve race and ethnic relations issues on their campus. So critically important. And we have plenty of examples across the country for years. And I bring up that history of excellent examples of how students have solved and addressed successfully very challenging race and ethnic relations issues on individual campuses. And then chapter 10, how universities can solve race. Again, how the administration, how the leaders at each and every college, whether small, medium, or large, can truly help solve their own race and ethnic relations issues on their campus. Not just blame the students or avoid the issue, but have the university, the key individuals, the leaders, to be a part in solving. And there's always certain race and ethnic relations issues. No matter how small and how small the diversity may be, the less diversity, or even vastly diverse, there's going to be some challenges for the administrators. So I provide examples of that, and then I move on to part 5, the debate issues, chapter 11, controversial race and ethnic relations topics to discuss and debate. And my students just love this part. I really bring in real life examples that unfortunately has happened in our society, has happened even locally at the university that I teach at. It's happened locally, and that's where they can relate even more. And so this really wakes up students. This is the and I save this towards the end of the class. And it really challenges the individual mindset of the student. And they have to make a decision one way or another. And it's refreshing to see that students actually slow down and critically think about these issues, whether they're a part of the group or not a part of the groups. They get into some really controversial issues, race issues. And again, that's what we need. That's what college students need at this stage of their life before they get out there in the real world. Again, my opinion, you have to get some experience before you get out there in the real world. Because in the real world, there's no there's no off ramp. It hits you right in your face. You have to be prepared for it. And unfortunately, again, one of my biases is that our universities and colleges do not do a good job of preparing our college students for the real world. We have, again, failed them in providing them the practical skills. And I say we, I'm part of academia, but I tend to teach all my classes in a very practical sense. But since I am part of academia, and that's the reason why I'm teaching my class, I changed the approach of all my classes since being at the current university. Over the past 17 years, I recognized I had to change the approach because, whoa, they're just easy to disconnect. But I said I need to show my responsibility as a professor to provide students with certain skill sets, not just content information, but certain skill sets to prepare them for the real world. And that's what we do, particularly in chapter 11, the controversial race and ethnic relations topics to discuss and debate. Wow. And it's very, very refreshing. And then, I have my students, that's part 5 in chapter 11. But now I'm getting to my class. By the end, I have students actually develop their own solutions. And that's the final portion. Other than the exams, of course, they have to come up with their own solutions in improving race and ethnic relations. And that's so important. And they share it with their colleagues. So that is very, very rewarding. And a vast majority, not all students. You're always going to have, let me just say, you're always going to have certain students just don't buy in or are just resistant in moving this dialogue forward. They're just set in their ways. They're not going to change, and you're going to have those students that just won't provide any continual dialogue or really challenge themselves to connect with other students. And so you're going to have those students and you move on. But vast majority, here I go, the vast majority of students in my classes, they really do change. They really do challenge themselves. They're looking for this opportunity to dive into these issues in a deeper level and to come up with, at the end, solutions. It's one thing to debate. It's one thing to have this scholarly debate, but it's another thing to come up with solutions, provide students with skills and awareness of how to interrelate, how to relate to people who are like you or different than you when you actually have to live in the real world. Not on a college campus, not on a university, not in a in a quad or anything like that. And believe me, I went to college where it was just so beautiful. The campus was so serene. Oh, it was so pleasant. We were so protected from the real world. But once I graduated, whoa. It was a wake up call. So I want to make sure students at least get a sense of you got to wake up before you actually leave and graduate from your college and university. So again, and we have to realize. I also realize that the impact of COVID-19 on my students for the past 2.5 years caused many of students to not connect with other students. Just they immerse themselves in their own private world for the past 2.5 years. And now that we're still having the effects of COVID, but coming out of it by all stretch of the imagination, is actually students have to reconnect with individuals who look different than them. And they have to reconnect with people who look like them. So it's this reconnection that will be going on for the next several years, I guarantee you. Because it is a new day of reaching out and reconnecting, but also being cautious about it. What I mean by cautious, because of all the other things that are going on, unfortunately, in our society. So students have to reconnect, and they have to be given confidence, reassurance that it's okay to reconnect with individuals who look like you, and particularly with individuals who do not look like you and have a different cultural history, different way of life, different language, different customs. It's okay. Matter of fact, it's not just okay. It's really a necessity thing to do. So there you go. Wow, I did. I went through the major topics of my book, Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus, Understanding Empowerment and Solutions for College. Again, I think it's a book that I continue to expand in its approach as I lecture. I find nuances of other issues to dive into when I'm lecturing. And again, I'm just very proud that this book has connected with so many people. And when I'm out there in the community, I'm still sharing this book in different ways to local community folks that. And matter of fact, just this past week, I shared my book with a friend, and she was pleasantly surprised that these issues are so important to college students, but also to the everyday person out there in the real world. So again, I'm just still celebrating. That's right, celebrating 4 years of Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus book that I put a lot of time and effort in, and I want to thank all those who provided assistance, who helped continue to market this book in association with me, my friends, my true friends back home. Hello, my hometown folks, my homies, my homies who still support me on, and they know where I come from, back from in Ohio. So I really appreciate their support, and also their kids' support, because again, this is this is generational now. So I really appreciate their support for the book, and continue marketing of the book and discussing some of the concepts, because again, it's still so relevant today in 2022, 4 years after the publication of it. So again, I'm still celebrating. It just came up, it dawned on me. I said, 4 years ago, my book came out, this last book. and so you never know what's going to happen in book publications, and where it's going to go, how it's going to affect others. But again, if you have any comments, by the way, I just want to throw a shout out. Please send me a comment. For those of you who have the book or interested in the book, you can email me, and I'll give you my email. Am I going to give you? Yes, my email at the university, actually at my office email, baileye@ecu.edu. Yes, I'm interested in those of you who have purchased the book. Send me an email at my office, baileye@ecu.edu, or send me an email at my regular email at ejb678@gmail.com. So again, continue to share the topics of my book, have dialogues, have discussion with your family members. Again, it's just not, and this book is just not for college students, it's for all family members. And I'm talking to the college students now, for your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your brother, sister, your cousins, your relative, your extended relatives. Have some lighthearted but also serious discussion about race and ethnic relations in your community, in your family, amongst your friends. Because again, we're going through some very challenging times, and to overcome many of these issues, to get through all the haze, is really to continue, in my opinion, to continue to have the dialogue, but come up with more solutions. We need more solutions from each and every one of you. And I just provided some framework, some general solutions, and then some specific solutions in the book. And they have taken off. And I can see the effect of them, the impact of them, and examples of them across the country. So again, everyone has an opportunity to help solve the race and ethnic relations issues in our country, but have a deeper understanding of them, empower yourself with them, and continue to develop your own solutions. So there you go. I went a little bit long. What can I say? I get kind of wrapped up into this, but I just really want it to have an impact on each and everyone's life. So again, thank you for listening. This is show number 66, and entitled Celebrating 4 Years of Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus book. I am Dr. B. I want to thank all our podcast platforms. Podbean, thank you. Yes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Listen FM, Player FM. No, that's Listen Notes, Player FM, Spotify, and also I think our new sponsors, our new platform, Samsung Podcasts. Thank you very much. And did I say Amazon Music as well as Audible? Thank you. And there's all other new platforms. Thank you for your time. Pick up the book. Send me an email, baileye.ecu.edu or ejb678@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know what you think about the book. because it continues to move on to another level. So, with that said, have a pleasant rest of the summer 2022 and keep moving forward. Peace out, everyone. We out.